we are going to just go into it and get started. The first couple I would like to invite up is they're a really young couple. They live in Chicago, but I know he's from Maryland, and they've been married for like a year and a half. So they're still pretty newlyweds, but I'm really still excited about how they met. So let's welcome up Francis and Zaiya Marcatelli.
Yeah, thank you, Shizuka.
Thank you, Shizuka.
And thank you, everybody, for being here. We're excited to be here. Excuse our Winnie the Pooh curtains. We're in Francis's family house right now, and this was the only room available.
For some reason, all the kids in my house are over 18, but for some reason, we never changed the curtains from when we were like 3. So
what a sight. So I'll go first. My name is Zaiya Kono. I'm 25. We're living in Chicago in the suburbs with my family right now. So I guess just going into it. I did STF Europe for 3 years. Thank you. And then so that was in 2014 to 17, and then I came home, and then I went straight into CARP and doing mission stuff because I felt very called to do it, and I wanted to kind of continue this public life and invest in my community, things like that. So me and some others, we started up a CARP chapter and then kind of immersed myself into that and school and work right after STF. And then over the years after STF, kind of 1 or 2 years after, my mom started kind of pushing me, not encouraging me, like, oh, wouldn't you want to get started on the matching? And it was something I have always wanted to do. And I thought, like, kind of during STF, I was looking forward to it. Maybe in the next year or so, I would be interested in it. So I felt it was a good time to start on that. So my mom made appointments with me to the BFM coordinator and stuff like that. And I met with them and they told me what I have to do. And so I got started on some of the forms, and I didn't know, it was a lot. Well, it's not that much. I was just complaining a lot about it at the time, but like filling out these forms and showing like your residency. And I didn't know this was all part of it, but I was doing that. And then I had to get that like STD test. And I was like, what do I have to get an STD test? So I was complaining because I don't have health insurance. So it was so expensive for me to get this STD test, which I didn't even know what we had to do. I'm sure it's a very valuable thing. Well, I did it, and I was doing those kind of external preparations. But then after a certain time, I didn't like get on the website or anything, but just kind of in the process of doing this, I just got a lot of anxiety from kind of CARP and things I was doing. It was really like I was getting kind of like stomach issues and like a lot of anxiety, and like I felt like it was not so good for me. So I just felt I had to kind of put a hold on this, and I didn't pursue any matching. I just kind of had some papers filled out, and I got my tests and things like that, but I didn't pursue it anymore because I felt like I actually couldn't. And then and then I guess just one day at church, after Sunday service, there was this one family, this one kind of older couple, and then the mother, she approached me. She's this cute Japanese mom, and she kind of came up to me. She was like, "Oh, Zaiya-chan, like, are you getting matched soon?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't think so." And like everyone, they always bring that up. But then she kind of like changed, and she was like, I'm just kidding. Like, I understand you're so busy with CARP and everything. And and then she just said like, "Oh, I know that God will take care of you because you're leading such a public life and you're really invested into this." And that just really kind of touched me and hit me. And I felt like, okay, like, thanks for saying that and not like trying to hook me up with like someone in your community or something. But anyway, so yeah, then soon after that, then Francis approached me. He approached my family and then me, and it was like a pretty standard way, I guess, of doing that. Because we had a mutual friend. He probably will share about that afterwards, I think. So I'll just let him speak about that. But I felt like God guided me a lot in this because I had a few instances like earlier, like when I was like 16 once, and then like maybe like a year or two before I started talking to Francis was with some things like maybe from my mom or other people in the community. We're trying to kind of do things behind my back, like trying to maybe kind of, I don't know, like talking to like someone else's son about me and kind of trying to make it something without ever it getting to me. And one time when I was like 16, it really like, I didn't hear anything about it. Actually, my mom told my friend's mom who told her. And once the whole thing didn't work out, then my friend told me, and I was like, what the heck? I don't know who this person is. And it would kind of affected me in a not so good way. Kind of, I was not very excited to get matched. Like, if this is how it's going to be, like, I'm not really interested. That's okay. But then I feel like the way that Francis approached us was very like good for me. Like, he first, because we didn't know each other at all. I never met him before, but our younger brothers did GPA together. So they kind of knew each other. So he asked his younger brother to ask my younger brother to ask me if I was like open to starting something, like if I might have already been in a process, or if I was even interested in pursuing the matching. So he just kind of in that way, he kind of approached me about if I was open. And I felt like just that kind of gesture, even for him, it was probably because he didn't know who I was, and I might have been like, of course, no, like from the start. So he wanted to kind of get like an answer if it was even worth pursuing. But even that, for me, I felt like God made it so that like it was okay for me. It went straight to me, even though we didn't start talking until our moms got in contact. But like, just because it was like, to me first, I felt very much like, okay, yes, I felt very peaceful about it. And then I felt very like the whole process and everything went so smooth for me. And I felt like it was very guided, and just, it was a little thing like that, but I felt like it made it for me. And then I think an important aspect for me going into the matching and preparing for it before was really developing this faith in God that he'll take care of me, that he is taking care of me, and to just believe in that, and to kind of like live in faith and in comfort, not to be so anxious or kind of feel like I have to like give up on something that means a lot to me for this. But it really, like, I don't know, kind of made me, I guess it did, and this whole process made me deepen my faith in God. And actually looking back on it, I feel I've been going through a lot recently with other like career and school, but even writing this, I felt like that point for me was like, oh, I have to take that in again and remember that, and that's really a real thing. So yeah, I feel like, I think it's been 7 minutes, but so yeah, it's been really good, and I'm very grateful for my husband. I think he's perfect for me, and he's a perfect person, and I'll let him share now. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, so for me, my course in the matching was a little bit longer and a little more, well, there was a lot. So when I was 21, I'm 26. I started the whole process of the matching when I was about 21. I started talking to my mom and say, look, I think I'm ready to kind of pursue things. And for my parents, my mom felt like the way she wanted to do it was like, well, you should suggest people to us, because I'm actually the oldest in my family, so it's new to them too. So we kind of started with that. We looked on the website, this and that. And actually, I actually got matched before once when I was 21, and it didn't work out. And it was actually a very difficult experience for me. And it took me a long time to kind of get over it and understand why that happened, and understand like what is it that I want out of this, you know? And I think for me, the biggest thing in that experience, and my whole experience of 4 years of like, from the time I started the whole process of like the matching to actually getting matched to Zaiya, I felt like there was a lot of difficulties. There was a few processes. There was, like I said, a broken matching. But through all of it, I felt like when I look back, I kept my standards, I guess. I kept my morals. I kept my this idea that like, this is something that's important to me, you know, and despite it being difficult, I felt like I kept learning and learning, you know, by keeping my heart open and stuff. And I felt like God guided me to the right person, guided me to grow and understand something new from every experience. So after a couple years of that one experience, a difficult experience, and then a couple more processes where I was like trying to figure out like what the heck am I doing, you know. I kind of got to a point where I was like, well, I don't know, like this is taking a long time and it's just something I really believe in, but why is it so hard, you know? And finally, at some point, I had a really good experience. Ironically, a process I had ended, and for some reason, I felt really good about it, and I felt like I had a clean slate. And at this point, I felt like because I was, you know, staying my course, because I was keeping my confidence, my morals, my standards, whatever, and keep believing and keep my habits and practices, despite the difficulties, I felt like I developed an understanding of what it is that I'm really looking for. Like, what are my absolute core things that I feel like are most important to me, and I feel like God is showing is most important to me. And when I really felt that, I felt this like level of confidence, and I really felt like, okay, something is going to come. It's going to be the right person. And it was funny. I was actually working as a military contractor, and I had a month-long job in San Antonio, Texas, and I had a weekend off. So I went to Dallas to meet a friend, and we were just talking about the matching blessing. And he mentioned her name. I had never heard of her before. And even though we had been to like workshops together and this and that, we just never like met officially. And for whatever reason, her name like clicked in my mind, and it was a little bit creepy, honestly. Because after that, for some reason, she kept coming up, and I kept thinking about this person. I was like, oh, I wonder if she, you know, like she's available or what she's interested in. I kind of stalked her on Facebook to make sure she was like a good person and this and that. And I actually kind of created my own luck. I asked people who I knew her, that I was good friends with, like, you know, basically I was like, hey, these are the things I'm looking for, you know, these qualities. And I kind of wanted to see if they would recommend her, you know, based on those qualities that I was looking for. And a lot of people did recommend her. Actually, most of the people were like, oh, this would be the first person I would think of. So all that together, I was like, okay, I feel like this is something. And I was praying about it. And I, you know, I mentioned it to my mom and this and that. But then at the same time, I was like, well, I don't know this person, and she's not on any website. And I was looking at the website stuff too, but that wasn't really working out. So I felt like maybe she's not even looking, you know? And so finally, like she said, I asked my brother to ask her brother if she's, you know, looking or if she's interested. And she said yes. And then my parents contacted her parents. And then, you know, I was at the point in my life where I felt like I don't want to compromise what's most important to me in the blessing, you know, and I felt like no matter how good this feels, if these certain things aren't in line, because I know from my experience that these are the most important things, then I'll just, you know, keep moving on. So she actually like made a profile and sent it to us. And right before I opened it, I was like, man, I feel so nervous. I felt so like confident about this, but hopefully this is good. And when I read it, you know, it all kind of clicked, and I felt like, okay, this is good. And we started talking, and honestly, right away, things just went well. And for me, I guess I kind of set my standard of, I wanted to become friends with her first before I let any emotion in. And just to make sure, you know, that there was a good foundation there, because we didn't know each other. And I mean, after a while, we just got closer and closer, and things just developed. And I met her the first time I met her. I had a layover. I was at work, and I had a layover in Chicago, and I purposely made it 3 hours so that we could maybe come out of the airport and meet for a little bit. And yeah, after that, we just visited each other's families, and we did some conditions together. And in the end, you know, there were some challenges, but I guess at the end of the day, we just felt confident that, you know, the values that I think are most important for me in the blessing, and what she thought was most important, they clicked and they came together, and everything else, I guess we could figure it out. And then we made the decision to move forward. So I'm very happy. And I guess for me, the way I really prepared for this, way at the beginning when I was 21, I started to develop, you know, a more open relationship with my parents. I talked to other people who were blessed, you know, friends or older people. And, I asked them to share their experiences. I asked them to share their insights, because every experience is very, very different, of course. And there's, some people like have a dream that they should get blessed to this person or whatever, and other people, they go through 20 processes before they find the right person. But at the end of the day, something has to click for you. And I feel like from my experience, not giving up and continuing and keeping that confidence that the right person will come at the right time, I felt like that for me was, what brought the success in being able to find Zaiya, because it was very difficult for me. I tell her that I paid all the indemnity for her. She didn't have to do anything. I just approached her and she said yes. So, but it was all worth it, just looking back to the moment where, I might have felt very sad or very in a tough spot, but wanting this and then looking at it now, it was all worth it. And I'm very happy that I kind of stayed true to what I felt, I wanted. And I think God really works through patience and that kind of perseverance and having an open heart. So yeah, that's kind of our story, and, it's all good. We're still learning a lot. We've only been blessed for 1.5 years. But it's been really great, and I'm really grateful for God guiding us together and all the people who supported it. So that is all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was great. You guys said a lot of really great things. I just want to, I'm like writing notes, right? So I'm always like writing down one thing, what I thought about Zaiya's process that I want to just kind of tell parents that are anyone tuning in is that you shouldn't scheme behind people's backs. It never turns out the way you think it's going to turn out. And so it's really important, I think, to let candidates that you're trying to help know what you're thinking a little bit and kind of get their input, because in the end, they're the ones marrying people, right? So anyways, I just want to kind of throw that out. But I really think the main thing here, what Francis, you were mentioning, is this idea of like not giving up, right? Like you had, even though some parts were bumpy and kind of hard, you still had your eye on what you wanted. And then through those processes, you developed what you really thought was the most important. And that was the qualities you were honing in on and trying to find someone that meet those criteria, maybe whatever it was before. And you're kind of like, well, these are the main things. And I loved how intentional you were, doing your research of Zaiya, trying to figure who she is without knowing who she is. And, I feel like that kind of effort is important too. You didn't sit back and just kind of wait, you went for it and you took initiative and got to know her. And even though for Zaiya, like you're just like, he just approached me and I said, great guy and stuff, and so for some people it's like that. And so some people it's a little bit of a journey, but in the end, you kind of look back and you're like, wow, like I am glad I never gave up. I'm glad I kept on, like you said, on course, and you just kept going. And now look at you guys. You guys are a great couple. So anyways, thank you guys for sharing your story. If anybody has any questions, please, I forgot to mention at the very beginning, but if you have any questions for this couple or for the next couple, please put it in the chat. You can direct message it to Blessing and Family Ministry, which is Isaac, or you could just leave it in the chat for everyone to see, and we'll collect all those and then talk about it after. So thank you guys once again for sharing. You guys will stick around because questions will be coming after. So thank you. For the next couple that we have, another great couple. They live in Clifton, New Jersey, and they've been married for almost 3 years. And they also have a really unique story on how they met. So I'd like to welcome up Zeth and Andrea Millar-Bell.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Hello.
Hello.
Glad to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Andrea, and
I'm Zeth.
I guess to start off our story, we actually both came from broken blessings. We had found potential spouses, and they didn't work out. And that's basically where I guess kind of our process to find each other started. At least it started for me at that point. Would you agree that it was like that for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for my process, My first blessing, and then a conversation, and then Zeth. That's basically the extent of my experiences.
Mine was somewhat longer than that.
Yeah, yours was somewhat longer than that.
I'm going to go after.
Yeah, but basically, after my first blessing broke, I had to take some time to recover from that. And during that time, I guess, I don't know, in some point of healing, you don't really want to give up of wanting to get re-blessed. Well, I don't know. I wanted to give up. My mom didn't really let me. She kept kind of reminding me, hey, don't put this on the back burner. At some point, you're going to want to get re-blessed again. So, you know, so I kind of took it in steps. I did kind of the matching plan, or I did, you know, filling out the profiles and answering a question every day intentionally. And the point that I want to make that worked for me is I tried two processes. One, where I kind of reviewed my mom kind of reviewed profiles for me, and then she kind of gave them to me to re-review. Like, she kind of picked profiles that she thought would actually be a good fit for me, and then had me read them. And then when I read them, I was like, okay, maybe this will work, maybe this won't work. But I kind of whittled down that list by a lot. And then through that process, I actually found somebody that I wanted to communicate with. And I did, and we, I think, talked for about 3 months. It started off well, and then also ended well, too. So it actually wasn't overall a bad experience, even though it didn't work out. But after that, I was kind of like, I had started a new job, and I kind of, I don't know, I didn't want to, even though it was a good experience, whenever you start something with a relationship with somebody, like, it kind of rocks the boat per se, right? And I was like, I don't want to rock the boat anymore. I want to get used to my work. I want to get used to the environment that I have. I kind of want to put a pause on this kind of matching thing for now. And then my mom was like, but what if, like, the perfect guy comes along and you miss him? And then I'm like, look, Mom, if I really wanted to find somebody, we could do this process all over again and find someone. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to work, though. But if we wanted to do that way, we could. Relax. But to kind of make a compromise, I said, I'm going to take a step back, but I'll still let myself be seen. So I would I basically attended all of the events for that year, or like some of the key ones where I knew that young single folks were likely to gather. So that was like, I think, the core retreat that started in May, and that's where I met Zeth. And he was actually in a conversation at the time when I met him. And the way that I knew that was because
Yeah,
you told me. Yeah, you told me. And then I was kind of like, well, okay. I don't know. I kind of said hi to him, and he recognized my face, and and I was like, how did you recognize me? And it's because he had seen.
Yeah, I want to chime in on this point.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to kind of lead up to where I got to this point as well. Kind of give everyone a little bit of a cliffhanger anticipation. But so also for me, I after my blessing broke, I decided I wanted to take a bit of time. So I gave myself, I think it was like 5 months, 6 months, and I was like, I need a break. I need to invest in myself. So I was trying to make sure I took care of myself in terms of, like, you know, going places I like to go, doing things I like to do. And then I started looking into, you know, okay, building my profile, talking to people, investigating, you know, what do I really want out of the blessing, refocusing what I wanted, because I've always wanted certain things from the blessing, mainly three things. One, to be able to communicate. Two, someone who would laugh at my jokes, no matter how bad they are. And three, someone who could put up with me, however insufferable I am, which...
Was that really the third one?
Yes, that was actually the third one. I say you do an excellent job.
Yeah, thank you.
And so that was just mainly those three things that I was interested in. And you had, how was it, 2, 3 conversations?
I had 3 covered.
3 conversations. I had somewhere around 12. So I was like, talking to different people. I think one conversation lasted a weekend where I talked to the person, and then they got back to me on Monday, said not interested, and I was like, okay, moving on. And other conversations that lasted several months. It was a bit more touch and go, but every conversation that I did, I always made a point of focusing on that one person and investing myself wholeheartedly for the potential of it working out. I'm not going to lie, it got emotionally exhausting after time. And I always made sure I tried to take a break between times, so that way I could be, okay, am I ready to invest again? And it was interesting because one of the conversations I was having, it was kind of, I wasn't sure if it was going anywhere. I wasn't sure if it was not going anywhere, but we talked on a regular basis. I hadn't actually met the person in person. I had invited them to come to this core retreat, but decided meet them later, and I'll fast forward to that part. It ended up that person actually said, I'm actually wanting to let you go so you can find the person that's right for you. And then I'm going to rewind back to the core retreat. Actually, I had seen her before because on the matching website, her profile had showed up at the top every single time, no matter what search criteria I used, and I wasn't sure why or how that was. My thinking it was a software glitch. So I thought, hey, I'm just pointed out to her since I saw her there. Obviously, I had read her profile, but,
Yeah.
Yes, update your profiles regularly. And it was funny because I think it was updated every single day to be like the top. Anyway,
I doubt it, but I didn't update my profile
so
every day.
we talked. It kind of, the conversation went like, "Hi, I recognize you from your profile." I said, "Oh, I'd seen your profile too." It's like, "Any updates?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm currently in a relationship." It's like, "Oh, okay, bye." Whoop. That was basically the conversation.
Basically, I had assessed that he was in a conversation and therefore taken and therefore not worth my time.
Yes.
And I had other sites to see.
Yes. And then encounter number 2, I think, was the Hyojang workshop.
It was the Hyojang workshop.
It was a big rally that they had at the New Yorker, where True Mother was speaking at Madison Square Garden. So they had a whole bunch of young unificationists gathered together.
Like 500.
Yeah, it was a bunch of them. Very, very zealously singing and dancing, and I was off of the corner going like, yeah, not going to happen for me.
So the funny part of this story is that as soon as I found out that they were actually going to be doing dancing, I was so set on like, I refuse to dance. I absolutely refuse. And I made it my mission to find like-minded people like me who also didn't want to dance, and then cheer as hard as I could for them to dance and not me. And kind of Zeth was the first person I spotted in the back of the room, and I was kind of like, hey, you want to dance?
And I was like, no.
Yeah.
So Anyway, we ended up bonding on the fact that we had mutual senses of humor, not wanting to put ourselves out there to be the forefront of spotlight and dancing. And somehow she still managed to catch me on camera in East Garden dancing.
Oh, yes,
that was the story for another day.
That's a story for another day.
Anyway, what's funny is that while we were at the Hyojung workshop, I had actually signed up for the 24 plus, and I thought, hey, you know, maybe I could get to know this person on the way to the 24 plus and offer to pick her up from the airport. Totally didn't work out that way because I realized that the people I was picking up from the airport were getting an earlier flight, and I would have had to wait at the airport for another 5 hours to pick her up. So that didn't work. I felt bad about that. Anyway.
No hard feelings.
Yes. She looked really irritated when I saw her, but I realized that was just her tired face.
Yes.
So,
I was literally just tired.
So,
but basically, we had met at the core retreat, the Hyojung workshop, and then met again at the 24 plus. And it was at the 24 plus that he actually asked for a conversation with me. And when I kind of decided that I wanted to take a step back from my active search, I had the condition that, well, I'm still going to put myself out there. And if somebody approached me, then I just wouldn't say no. And so it's kind of funny because it happened so much sooner than I would have expected. But he asked me for a conversation, and we just continued talking until finally I don't know, I realized that he was the person that I could work with, like without fail. And then I was just like, Zeth, I want to marry you. And I don't know. Then we kind of decided to get blessed.
So on,
I think that's basically what worked for us.
On the note of talking, from the moment we started deciding to actually have a conversation, we decided to actively be honest with each other.
Yes.
And
fair point. Yes, that's right.
We were like, okay, we'll air any dirty laundry if we need to, and B, we'll be straightforward, we'll be candid, we'll be honest, and we'll address any issues or topics, and we'll just keep talking. And we talked for about 2 hours every week on a Saturday, easily for that 7-month period, that grace period. Additionally, I think I sent her a text every morning, sending her a good morning. Just because of the fact that I was like, yeah, if I'm going to be with this person for the rest of my life, I'm going to talk to them as if I would be messaging them for the rest of my life. So I sent her a good morning or something or other. At one point, she was like, when are you going to get tired of this? And I'm like,
yes, I was just about to mention.
I'm not.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, yes, I realize we're a good match and we're probably things are going to continue, but come on, like you're always trying to put your best foot forward, and that kind of tends to take a step back after a while. So I was like, when are the texts going to stop? Come on. But he was actually, no, they're going to continue. And that it actually did, to the point where we started living together, and then the text stopped because we started seeing each other every day.
And I'd say good morning to her in person. And, good night, and, how was your day? And,
and the regular stuff.
Yeah. So, we kept talking every day, and we make sure we talk every day. Just so, the only reason I stopped texting, I was like, well, I could text, or I could just look at her.
Yes, dear.
And basically...
that's kind of our story.
Yeah.
Basically.
We have a whole lot more to tell, but I think we've gone past this 15-minute period. So if you have more questions or anything, we'll let you ask.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. That was really cute. I think you guys are really sweet to each other, and definitely a really great couple. I think some things that probably other people can relate to definitely is, you know, coming from like a broken blessing, right? You both had broken blessings, but I think what was really a key thing is you both took time that you needed to recover from that before you launched into a new process, you know, before you launched into something new. And even though, Zeth, you went through many different hurdles and you know, went through different conversations, and, you know, I feel like that is pretty admirable for you to keep going and to not lose faith, and wanting to, you're like, this is what I still want. And so I'm going to keep going. And, you know, with all the stars aligned, you guys had met multiple different times, but the timing wasn't right. But then finally, when it was right, you know, it just, and then I don't know, that profile thing at the top, the first thing I kept thinking about is like, well, I'm like, Andrea's mom is kind of like a software person. I'm like, maybe she did something. But she's probably listening in on this and it's like, no, I didn't do anything. But anyways, it's just funny how.
Denies it completely. I have also confronted her about it, and she was like, really? What's going on?
Yeah.
So
she
we
swears
still
she didn't
don't
do
have an
anything.
answer.
Yeah, that's funny. So anyways, yeah, whatever it is, right? It worked, and you guys are together and make a really great couple. So anyways, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm sure somebody definitely will get a lot out of it. So thank you so much. So now I'm going to actually turn it over to Isaac, and Isaac's going to do the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, anybody listening in, please put it in the chat and we can go over it. So turning it over to you, Isaac.
All right. Thank you, Shizuka. And thank you both couples. It's really wonderful, beautiful testimonies. A lot of wisdom shared tonight. So we have a couple questions. I'm just going to go through them in the order that we got them. So this can be a question for both couples, if you'd both like to answer. Were there any practical practices or habits that you felt helped you keep focus or motivation through the difficult times? And this can be either in your preparation or through your conversation. I'll repeat that one more time. Were there any practical practices or habits that you felt helped keep focus or motivation through the difficult times, either in preparation or through your conversation? You want to go first, Zeth and Andrea?
I do have an answer for this. Well, for one, I could say that after every single time of making an attempt to have a conversation, even after, you know, my first blessing broke, I never lost faith in the fact that the blessing, or never lost belief in the fact that the blessing itself was good. And the happiness and joy that it could provide did help me, I guess, keep a center of like, that was my goal. That's what I wanted. And I kept reminding myself of why I was doing it. On another more practical aspect, I was like, I want a family. I want someone to share my love with. And I was like, I have to put in the effort to obtain it because of how important it is. So I was like, well, I'm putting in this much effort, I'm putting in this much work. That just kind of shows me as well how valuable it is. Because if it was easy, I mean, it may not be as valuable to obtain. I don't know. That was just my thinking.
Thank you, Zeth.
Yeah. I also have a practical tip to share, if there's time. But this is more like when you're in the process, if you're honest from the beginning, like if you try to be as honest as you can, there's always the temptation to kind of put your best foot forward, but it's also best to just be honest, because if you build that habit from the beginning, it actually makes your relationship much easier going forward. honestly speaking.
Genuine.
It's
too.
not, and genuine, yes. But it kind of gives you a stronger foundation because being honest kind of helped us later, even after we were kind of blessed and married and couldn't go anywhere after that. It's kind of like we were so honest from the beginning, like in a way from my perspective, I didn't care whether or not I was going to scare him off by what I had to say. But then once we were together and we were blessed, and there was nowhere else to go, then I was like, well, now I actually really care what he thinks about me. But as long as you but since we continued with our habit of being honest, I don't know.
It helped us work issues.
It helps us,
yeah,
even today, still work out some stuff. So, anyway, it's better to start out on that foundation as early as you can.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, I really liked that point y'all shared during the testimony, that some of those earliest conversations were bringing up some really honest topics and, some of the hard things to talk about, but it really pays off. Thank you. All right, Francis and Zaiya, do you want to add anything on this question?
Well, let's see. I guess I don't know if it was exactly answering the question, but something that came to my mind was, in my family, I think I've never been super close with my parents. Like some people, like I can tell my parents everything. I feel like I never really had that. And there's a lot of things I don't feel comfortable bringing up to them. And like, since I was young, and I've always thought that would be like a big thing. And like, oh, it'll like prevent me from getting matched, or it'll be like, not a burden, but it'll be like a limitation in the future. Who can I bring to my family in this kind of relationship? But, I guess as I get older, I guess we kind of become more similar. So we become a little bit closer. But one thing also I think was important was just taking little steps to kind of connect more with my parents. Like I know Francis and I were doing like a Hunduke condition when we started first talking, and we would have like once a week, we would read with our parents instead of each other. And even though it's like a little thing, it would be like 10, 15 minutes. It kind of set a space that kind of showed them that I was serious about this and that they could, like I did want them to be a part of it. And I think it meant a lot to them as well. And then in the time, I'd also take the time in that short time to kind of ask them about their own matching processes, like way back in the day. It was very different, but I felt like it was a common base, and it did help me to connect more with them and to feel more comfortable and like free and sharing things that were going on. So we're just, I guess, taking little steps and whatever things you feel like need to be dealt with. So.
Thank you.
I think everyone shared what I would say. So.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Francis and Zaiya. Yeah, really good tip there to talk to our parents and ask them about their own experiences with the matching. All right, let's go to the next question. So this one's directed to you, Francis, but I think if anyone else wants to answer it too, that's okay. So if you're the first question is, were you in several processes? If so, how did you feel after? If you had a one and done experience, did you ever get doubtful? I'm sorry, my dog is right here. Did you ever get doubtful further into the process? And how did you overcome that? And they wanted to clarify by doubtful. Did you ever feel doubtful that you were ready to fully commit?
Well, honestly, like I shared, my first experience was very difficult. It was an international matching. And I guess after that experience, kind of similar to what Zach said, I never kind of lost faith in what the blessing meant to me. Like I always felt that it was something good and it was something that I wanted, but I always felt like distant from it because, growing up, for me, I kept myself pure. I, kept my standard, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And after having that first hard experience, I was like, what the heck? Like, what is this? But somehow, I guess I had those doubts. But I never really, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I guess you just never lose faith. And I guess that I kept that by surrounding myself with people with similar mindsets, talking to people who were blessed, talking to my parents about it, and being open and honest with myself. Honestly, like I was like, God, this sucks. Like what the heck? I feel this, I feel that. Honestly, like even if it feels like a weird thing to say, like just saying it really helped. But as for my other process, honestly, most of them were not very long. I think the longest one was like 4 months, other than Zaiya, of course. And they all mostly ended well. Actually, I remember ending one process and feel like, wow, that was really nice. Like, I feel like, it was just like, I feel like both of us were just like, okay, we're meant to be with other people. So let's just send each other on our way and become good friends, and I felt like I kept a good relationship with all the people I talked to. So yeah, and I think that's important, like I said, don't let the emotion get started too fast. It's like, you got to become friends and be sure. Otherwise, if it doesn't work, it's really hard. And I mean, anyway, that's what worked for me later on after my hard experience.
All right, thank you, Francis.
I answered the question, but
no, yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, very helpful. And I really like the last point you shared, which was, as much as possible, if the process is going to end, but if you can end it in a healthy way or in a positive way for both people, then it really helps going forward and moving on. Thank you, Francis. Anyone else want to add on to this question? Good. Okay, I think we're okay. All right. So Zeth, this question was for you. You kind of answered it. If you want to add on to it, I'll let you do that. But how did you keep going and not lose hope?
I mean, I don't want to say it's a cop-out answer, but basically I kept going and didn't lose hope. Well, I mean, in all honesty, it's kind of like, I was like, I didn't let myself give up because, let's put it this way. Like, even before my first blessing, I had like a couple matching experiences. Like I tried and different things. And I tried to take the approach of, okay, it didn't work out. What did I learn? What did I gain? What did I grow? Like, how did I grow? Like, what can I gain from this? So it wasn't easy every single time. And, getting rejected, and, not having things work out. But I always tried to think about what I could have done, what I couldn't have done. There was a couple times where I literally asked, I was like, oh, okay, you're not interested. May I ask why? Just as like, I wasn't trying to like mold myself into the perfect person, but I did try to find some closure sometimes. And sometimes I didn't hear from the person after. It was like, I'm not interested, blah, 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 and etc. But I tried to find meaning and growth from each experience, and then I just didn't let myself give up, because the goal was that it was that worthwhile and that precious to me. That was basically it.
All right, thank you, Zeth. Didn't give up and didn't lose hope. Yeah, I like how you said that. And I think it was a really good attitude to have, right? Always trying to find some kind of growth point. And what was this? You said something.
Some meaning as well.
Some meaning, yeah, growth and meaning. I thought that was really nice. Yeah, thank you, Zeth. All right, let's see. We have a couple more. I want to get to this one, maybe our last one. But this is for anybody to answer. What are some of the benefits of being married and blessed? If you'd like to share.
I can think of one. I'm going to keep it PG-13 though.
Okay.
So I'm going to say movie nights.
Nice. All right. Movie nights. Very fun.
Yeah, I like sex. It's really nice. It adds a lot to your relationship and many good things. That's not the only thing, of course. I just thought I'd bring out the elephant in the room. Yeah, no, I mean,
he works with High Noon.
Yes,
so this
come
is
on, guys.
this is normal.
All the multiplayer games.
No, I think, I mean, it's beautiful to be able to share your life with someone. You know, it's not easy, but I think, I don't know, I just feel more purpose in my life, and you know, it's just a great way to. It's just the next step. You know, it's like you gotta take the next step in life, and I think, you know, anything good takes work. So.
Here.
Yeah.
And I really like having having a friend always. Like sometimes we'll like plan something and then it's like, oh, we're inviting all of our friends, and like normally it'd be so sad if nobody came, but if nobody comes, we're like, well, at least more food for us, or it's like still fun, and I can count on him being there because we live together. So I really like that. Actually, I appreciate that a lot.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. Any other final thoughts on this question? Benefits of being married and blessed?
I will think of one that's non-physical. You have someone to talk to. You know, my wife has told me I'm a reasonably good listener, but I also need to work on not fixing things. But basically, you could talk about things to somebody. There's someone that's there. I'm not saying, you know, it's a personal therapist, but someone who could listen and genuinely cares about your well-being, who's not your parents. You know.
Yeah, actually, that does make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, just having somebody to talk to, somebody to listen, and somebody to talk to. We heard somebody to share our lives with, to eat our food together, to have movie nights, and yes, of course, to make love with. Wonderful. All right, I think this is a great point to stop the Q&A. I really want to thank you both, Francis and Zaiya, and Zeth and Andrea. Yeah, really wonderful stories shared tonight. I felt like, you know, two different perspectives and different experiences, but really so much wisdom, and I think so much hope can be given from these testimonies. So I want to thank you both for your time and for letting me ask you and the audience some questions. So to close us out, I'm going to hand it back to you, Shizga. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Isaac. And thank you guys for sharing again and answering all those questions. Yeah, like Isaac was saying, I think a lot of people can gain a lot from your testimony, because I feel like it's a very common one. I mean, not saying it's a common testimony, like the way it all happened, but this idea of going through different hurdles and not losing hope and really keeping your eye on the prize. And I think, Zeth, you said something about, you know, if it's not difficult, like you don't value it as much. Also, if it was super easy, sometimes you kind of take it for granted maybe, but because it was difficult and it took a lot of time and energy and consistent, you know, just keep going. Then you realize, like, well, this is really, it's probably really, really special, the fact when you find that right person, right? And so, and I could see how you both value your relationship and your marriage, and yeah. Anyways, so I'm just really grateful that you were both able to come on the call, share your story, and be really open. And I love that word, honest. You know, just being honest with us, but honest with each other. Yeah, Andrea saying yes. Yeah, just being honest right from the get-go. It makes all the difference. So thank you for being honest with this group. And yeah, we're just really, really grateful. So thank you both so much.